Well, hello. What's happening, Facebook? Hello, YouTube. Hope everyone is doing fantastic. And those of you on Instagram, good to see you. Happy Thursday. We are getting close to wrapping up the week. I hope all of you are doing fantastic and having a good one. Decided that there's an opportunity for us to add a conversation into the week, add an opportunity for us to spend a little bit more time together and maybe learn from the dialogue that goes on. So we're going to start doing a weekly Q&A, and you'll have an opportunity to go ahead and submit your questions. You can private message them to me. You can tag me in a Facebook post. You can email james@reraw.com. If you're not part of my texting community, you can become one. It's 949-216-5448. And you can text me your questions, and I will include them or get through a few of them. Each week I'm going to select 3 questions, maybe a couple more if we have time, and I'm going to answer them and then give you an opportunity if you want to chime in or ask any follow-up to be able to do that on the live video here. So we'll have a more formal process for question submission and all that, but right now just use any of those resources that I provided already, and as we move forward, I might send you over to a site or something that you can just fill out. If we've never met before, what's going on? I'm James. I'm a licensed realtor out here in Southern California. I am in my 8th year selling houses, and I'm also the host and founder of Reraw and the Reraw podcast. Reraw, if you don't know what it is Real Estate Raw, and it is the no fluff, no BS podcast and education resource for agents and other industry professionals looking to up their game. The only thing we don't have is the fluff and stuff, so hope you're not there here looking for that. Got a lot of great opportunities for you. If you're watching this and you're not in my Facebook group, check out the Real Estate Raw Facebook group. And if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you know that you can always check the replays out in my Facebook group or even on the Reraw YouTube channel. That's Reraw. So with no further ado, let's pop into a couple of questions here. Angela Chelnikov, hopefully I was saying it right, Angela Chelnikov, says, what is your go-to closing gift for buyers, not gift cards? So great question. Closing gifts, I've tried to create some uniform around. So I've tried to create something a little more consistent, more for my purposes, because I think that, at some point it's nice to not be floundering at the end of a deal trying to figure out, oh my gosh, what should I do? And you can always add that personal touch in at the end, but just like goal setting is the foundation to set up your year, having a foundational closing gift that's kind of like, this is what I always do, and then I can add some, sparkle to it if I need to, then great. But my closing gift, typically what I do is this. Number one, I head over to Bed Bath & Beyond. Yes, we do have time. And so I go to Bed Bath & Beyond and pick up one of those little kind of boxes. I guess you could put, not boxes, but like a little basket. It's like a little woven type basket, and you could keep it in the bathroom or on top of a little linen closet cabinet sort of thing. And then I use that to fill everything up. So that way, like, even the basket has some function to it. I build my entire closing gift for sellers and buyers alike. I build my entire closing gift around relaxation and just kind of enjoyment, right? So I get a bottle of Veuve Clicquot, not Veuve, not Vive, but Veuve Clicquot. And it's a really nice champagne. If you'd prefer something else, like maybe a nice bottle of your favorite wine, or red or white, or perhaps you're working with someone who doesn't drink, maybe some sparkling cider, something to celebrate. But my go-to is Veuve Clicquot. And then I also include I have a Cutco knife that I got. It's one of those like cheese knives, like the cheese spreaders, if you will. And that's branded. It's actually the only thing branded in the entire thing, and you don't have to have anything branded. It's just something I did a while ago, and I got a million of them. So I do the Veuve Clicquot, a nice cheese spreader branded Cutco knife, and then I get 2 different kinds of cheese. I usually go over to Bevmo, or your local liquor store you could do, and I'll get like some nice 2 different kinds of nice cheese, and then 2 different kinds of crackers that I put in there. And then at the liquor store, while you're looking for something to drink, it's obvious that you're gonna want not just something to munch on, but maybe something sweet for dessert with it. So I always get sea salted chocolate covered caramels and toffee. So I got all kinds of goodies like right there, all just kind of, wrapped up. And then what I like to do is give them a couple other things. And I know you said no gift cards, Angela, but I'm a big fan of including gift cards as like a little extra add-on. And this is where you could like add your own flair or do something different. But so we've got the basket, the Veuve, the knife, the two different kinds of cheese, the crackers, and the candy, right? Which is really good too if they have kids. They can just share the candy with them or something, right? And then I usually will go and get a gift card. Now, the gift card largely depends on the client. If they're like first-time buyer and there are a bunch of repairs and stuff like that needed to be done, then I'll go get like a Lowe's or a Home Depot gift card for like $100. Usually my gift cards will range anywhere from $50 to $150. And if I do a $50 gift card, I might get them 2 or 3. And if I do a $150 gift card, it might just be the only one I give. But I might do something for a first-time buyer that's moving into a place with repairs and stuff like that. I might give them a Home Depot gift card. We have luxury movie theaters around here called Cinepolis. You might have something in your area called different, but a luxury movie theater, like a $50 to $100 gift card there, where you can order like food and beverage and stuff while you're watching a movie is really nice to do. And then my personal favorite is a gift card to Ruth's Chris. So I usually do $100 to $150 there. I don't give 50 and 100 and 150 in all of the things that I do. I usually would do up to $150 worth of gift cards in any combination of those things. Okay, so like you could even do like a $50 gift card to the movie theaters and then like $100 to whatever, to Home Depot or something, right? So I like to include that, and then I always put a thank you card in there. As a special thank you. But then to round out the evening, I like to give them like something to kind of like finally relax, right? And so my wife actually sells a product. It's an all-natural skincare product, and if you're interested, I can link you up to her. But they sell all kinds of like all-natural skin and healthcare stuff. So they have these like natural, what do you call it? It's called a serum stick. It's kind of like a body lotion. And it just smells really good. They got stuff with like lavender or like, holiday scents and stuff like that. So I usually put that in there as well, just because it's a nice, even if you never wore it, it's just something that's nice to like smell and get that. So I do this really nice combination of stuff. And the idea is to celebrate and to take a night out on me and to ultimately be able to come back and just kick back and relax. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff. And then, of course, I put a thank you card in there. And my thank you card is usually something to the effect of, hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you. I greatly appreciate the amount of trust that you've put in me, and I sure had fun being involved in your journey. I hope this is the first of many that we get to embark upon. And in all the stress and chaos of a transaction, I figured you could have something to celebrate, a night out on me, and then ultimately be able to kick your feet up and relax and just do your thing. So that's kind of the way that I like to do it. But those closing gifts, they're more personal, and then it also allows me to kind of create a cost that's manageable for me. So you might say, gosh, James, I'm not spending $250 or $300 on a closing gift. That's perfectly fine. You could take any combination of those things and make something really nice. You could do a bottle of champagne, some body lotion, or some kind of like romantic evening with champagne to just kind of like kick your feet back in the tub and relax and stuff like that. And a couple of personalized towels. You could do. You could just do candy and champagne. You could do, I know you said not a gift card, but you could do a gift card combined with champagne, like whatever, right? So any combination of those things. But I like to kind of fix my cost on it, and then I'll do more if I'm adding personal touches or if they did multiple transactions or whatever. But yeah, nice gift basket. Whew, that was a long answer, but hopefully that helps. The second question. So let's see, what's the second question here? I got it back behind the camera over here. Let me just make sure I can read it. Let's see. So it says, Cindy Marsh Powell says, it's a red hot sellers market here in Atlanta. Gosh, I feel like it is just about everywhere, Cindy. What is the best way to prepare buyers for multiple offers? Submitting offers at or above list price, and not to expect many repairs without scaring them away or delaying their purchase. So this is a great question, because what we're talking about, just to kind of paraphrase, it's definitely a seller's market in most places right now, which means that it's not uncommon for us to see combative, buying and selling situations, right? Excuse me, and get multiple offers on properties and just a total bloodbath to try to get your offer accepted. Unfortunately, what happens is our buyers still have this expectation that like they, once they get under contract, a lot of times they like to ask for the world. They're like, well, hey, I'm buying this place. Like, all these things need to be repaired, and we need to prepare them for that. So I do a lot of expectation setting on the front end. And candidly, Cindy, I mean, whether it's a seller's market or not, I like to let people know where their points of leverage are, but I also just like to remind them that, hey, on the front end in a seller's market, I just say, hey, listen, I just want you to remember that everything that we do in real estate, for the most part, is an as-is contract, okay? So we should write the offer based on what we know of the property and based on the condition that the property is in now, and we should hope that that we get accepted. And we should expect that we're probably not going to get any repairs done or any credits for repairs unless maybe we find something that is just a big issue, like a big health and safety issue. And I like to kind of set that up on the front end to let them know that if we find stuff, we should focus on health and safety issues. And you should also consider if you can afford to pay for it anyway. In a competitive situation, you have to determine, do you have much leverage? So for example, if we're talking about, I'm trying to think of a good one. If we're talking about like a slow drip underneath a cabinet, but it looks, anything active, I would say, well, gosh, like that kind of stuff, you should probably get attention paid to immediately because we want to stop that drip, right? If we're talking about, trying to think of another good example, but I don't know. Let's say that we're talking about something that is inconvenient, it's showing its age, maybe doesn't work perfectly. Pick something. Maybe a light switch isn't working or there's a busted outlet. What I would probably do is consider whether or not that's something you feel you need to ask for or something that you might be willing to just do on your own so that you don't have to worry about it. And the way that I make the distinction is like, if it was a slab leak, for example, I'd be like, no, that needs to be fixed now. And by the way, most other buyers that enter into contract with you would ask you the same thing I'm about to ask you. But if we're talking about like, the face plate on the light switch is cracked and the fan has a rattle and, like the hot and cold water are reversed, I'd say, look, in a competitive situation, I don't need to lose a deal over $100 worth of stuff. Hell, I'll just pay for it. You know what I mean? I'll just do it myself, whatever. So that's kind of what I would do. Not do the work myself, but I mean, like I would just pay for it myself, or offer to pay for it for your client. Who cares? Add that to your closing gift. But Cindy, a lot of it comes down to setting expectations on the front end. So that's a really good question. And I think the last piece of advice that's not directly related, but kind of is important is, just remember, we're kind of, one of the things that I think we're paid for that's undervalued and under-recognized even by the agents is that we're really paid to kind of keep our emotions at bay, right? We're kind of paid to make sure that we're not, as the agent, that we're not letting our heart get too attached to things, right? We're paid to give a very steady opinion that's just based on facts and situations and provide unemotional consultation, right? So, I think it's appropriate to have those candid conversations. Hey, just be prepared. I mean, what are you willing to walk away from this house on? Hey, we're writing an offer. It's a very competitive situation. My advice is to, to keep this simple. Let's keep the terms clean. Let's not ask the sellers for much. Don't worry. You still get a home inspection. You can still do all the investigating that you want to do. If we get to repairs, then, if the roof needs to be replaced, that's one thing. But if we're talking about little, piddly things, let's maybe not, blow it out of proportion because I don't want you guys to lose it over. You have to figure out if you want to lose the house because, there's a crack in the tile versus a slab leak. Like, what is your breaking point? But try to have the buyer start thinking about what their breaking points would be ahead of time and how much, knowing it's not a new house, how much would you be willing to lose the house over? Like, what's the barrier? Would you be willing to put in $1,000 in repairs of your own hard-earned money, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, before we, before you back out, or what's kind of your deal, right? So help them kind of think through some of that process. Good question, Cindy. Alina's question. Let's see. Alina says, anything about getting listings these days? What's working now in this crazy market? Well, I've got a great thing that I love, which is searching for off-market properties, right? So I like to look for properties that meet the criteria of buyers that are struggling to find stuff on the active market. That's kind of my go-to, which I absolutely love. But I've got a lot of them, like for example, expireds are probably not overly fruitful right now because houses that are even close to reasonably priced are selling like in a nanosecond. FSBOs are probably less fruitful now in a seller dominated market with short inventory. Excuse me. So I think, Alina, the best way I can answer, like I said, solve problems for people. It really depends what kind of lead type you're going after, and I don't just mean sellers, but like within that niche, how do you go about it? But adding real value, I think the best way to do it is to connect the seller that's not on the market with buyers that are already looking. That's my favorite way to do things. And other than that, the sky's the limit. It's just about what kind of value can you offer to whom, And I think that becomes the way that we generate leads in pretty much any case, right? How are we solving a problem for somebody? What problem can we solve for someone other than, let me tell you what your home is worth, right? It's got to be perhaps a little bit more powerful than that, So those are things I would think about. But the focus that I put most of my attention on is connecting the buyers with somebody who's not yet on the market and may not be coming to market because of a variety of reasons, maybe because of a pandemic or maybe because they don't have somewhere to move yet, right? But I figure out what problem somebody's having and I focus on solving it. That's how I ultimately am getting my listings. And I typically do that in a regular market too, but in a seller-dominated market, searching that off-market opportunity is, in my opinion, the absolute best way to do it. My favorite way to do that is by direct mail, and I would definitely focus on that. So. Those are the 3 questions that I had submitted and that I picked out for today. I thought they were great questions, and I think it gives you guys some stuff to chew on. Think about how you can serve others. Think about what types of problems other people are having that you can correct, that you can fix, that you could create a solution for. Real estate is very much about being proactive. It's not about being reactive, although we do need to react to different and changing market conditions. But real estate is also about being proactive with the strategies that we deploy in a market that we're constantly reacting to. So it's really about going out there and saying, gosh, here's exactly what's happening right now, and I'm going to proactively go and find the following things to solve problems for this group of people or that group of people, and ultimately help myself find more business by serving others. If you do solution and value-based lead generation, you ultimately are going to win the game, and that is definitely the single biggest thing that you can do is add solution and value. A quick follow-up question it looks like we've got from David Miller says, what is your best advice for an agent to win in a multiple offer situation? So kind of a different approach, like what Cindy had asked, and one of the questions I answered was, how do you kind of set the buyer's expectations and prepare them, right? And now we're talking about, well, how do you actually win the fight? Like, what's the big secret? David, that's a great question. The very first thing that I like to do is I always like to hit up the listing agent on the front end 100% of the time. It doesn't matter the market at all. Even if I'm the only offer that's going to be coming in for one of my clients, I will hit up the listing agent and I say, hey, David, what's up? It's James from Green Tree Realty. Hey, I was calling because my client would like to write an offer on the listing on Sample Street, whatever. Obviously, I understand price is the thing that everybody wants, right? I'm not going to ask you what I should write down on the offer for that, but could you tell me, are there any particular terms that are specifically important to the seller? And the reason I like to ask this is because in a situation where there's multiple offers, right? We know that we might only get one shot. And although I would hope that there's a multiple counter offer in a competitive situation, it's also not uncommon for a seller to just select the best offer first. And any time that we put our buyers in a position to receive a counter offer, we're allowing 2 things to happen. Number 1, we're allowing time to pass because now they got to write the counter offer and send it back to you, and you accept it, you counter it back. What's it going to be? right? So time passes and there's a chance for another offer to slide on in there. The second thing that we open the possibility up to is to give the seller an opportunity to kind of second guess or rethink what they want to do. If the seller needs a rent back, for example, and I don't know about or didn't ask the terms of the rent back on the front end, then it's hard for me to write a really solid offer that I know is just going to be accepted, because I'm definitely going to get a counter offer that's like, by the way, seller reserves the right to rent back the property. Here's all the terms and blah, 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 right? Whereas I could sit there and say, hey, buyer, I just talked to David. David mentioned to me that the seller's going to need a rent back of at least 60 days. They're not contingent, but they only want to move once, so we're hoping they can find a place soon, blah, 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 whatever. And, here's how we want to do that. Are we good? Okay, great. Let's write it up on the front end. And what I might slip in at the very end is I might do one of these. I might go, hey, David, look, I'm not asking you to negotiate both sides of the deal. We'll certainly write what we think is appropriate as far as the price goes. But, do you have any other offers, which they should answer? Out here in California, you have to disclose if you have other offers. And you also have to disclose if you're representing any of those offers, and you have to disclose that there's a dual variable commission, meaning is the listing agent, if they represent an offer, are they getting paid? Are they offered a different commission? Meaning are they maybe reducing the commission if they're double ending the deal, as opposed to the seller has to pay higher amount if they're paying both you and me on the agents, you as the listing, me as the buyer's agent, right? And the reason that's important is because it affects the seller's bottom line. So if you get to double end the deal and you still get to make a lot of money, but the seller gets to pay less overall, I have a right to know that for the sake of fair trade, because my buyer has to be able to have a chance to write a fair offer. So I always ask those questions, but I'll say, hey, David, so I'm not asking you to give me an exact price, but man, can you give me an idea the other offers you have? I mean, is there anything in particular we could write that is just going to seal the deal and get it done? And you'd be surprised. The agents aren't usually supposed to answer the question related to price unless they have permission from their seller. But you'd be surprised how many agents would actually answer that question, whether they're supposed to or not. And some would argue, hey, James, you shouldn't ask a question someone shouldn't answer. No, it's not a problem to ask the question in my mind. I think that you just have to figure out on the listing side whether you should be disclosing that information or not. So I like to probe, but I set it up in kind of a friendly way, David, where it's not like, hey, can you tell me what price? Give me the price, tell me the numbers, So I say, are there any specific terms that are important to the seller that are really a must to bring this deal together? And then the second question I would kind of close with is, hey man, so I know it's kind of crazy out there right now, but is there anything that we could write that would just get this deal done? Because the buyer really doesn't want to compete, man. Like we've just been busting our butt to try and get this done. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps. So guys, on the Q&A, I just want to reiterate, we're going to start doing this every week, and we'll probably continue on Thursday afternoons. Thursday afternoons just kind of feel good. They feel sexy. So we'll go ahead and start doing this on Thursday afternoons right here in the Real Estate Raw Facebook group, which is only for real estate agents, which I'm really excited about. So thank you. If you are a licensed real estate agent, you are licensed to sell homes, then that's why you are here. If you are looking for a couple of things, let me just share a couple last little things with you. If you are looking for an opportunity to communicate directly with me, you most certainly can do so totally free by sending me private messages. You can send me... let me see what Danielle will answer that in one sec. You can send me a private message on Facebook. You can tag me in a post. But I want you to make a note of this. You can actually text this number and add yourself to my contacts. I have a texting community. Don't worry, you're not going to get big giant group text messages all day, but it's a way that you and I can interact directly together. You can add yourself to my contacts by text messaging 949-216-5448. And again, it's 949-216-5448. So you can text me directly at that number. If you're looking for help with your lead generation, I would highly encourage you to visit members.leaddrops.com. I don't sell leads, but I do teach the exact lead generation strategies that I have and that I use for my own business in real estate to this very day, because I'm still out there in the field practicing and selling and playing the game. So please make sure that you go check that out. There's probably a comment directly below or above or to the side or wherever, but there's probably in the comments or whatever, there's a link somewhere that can help you out with that, okay? And again, those are actual lead generation strategies. I don't spend my time, money, and attention focusing on selling you leads, but I will definitely spend time teaching you the very exact things that I do for my own business. Donna says, love the probing. I appreciate it. Some people like the probing. Depending on the context there, may not be good. Just kidding. Danielle says, can I reach out to the ex-agent on an expired listing? I've been reading about people doing that and offering a referral fee. Well, Danielle, those people must be hearing my strategies because that's exactly what I do. Yeah, I don't cold call at all to the sellers, but if you're going to do anything, yeah, I would call a previous listing agent on a property that expired, and I would say, hey, so this is exactly how the conversation would go. Danielle, I would say, hey, Danielle, James Hoff with Green Tree Realty Group. Listen, you had a listing a while back on 123 Main Street and noticed that it expired. Are they planning on coming back to market, or are they kind of done? And you probably are going to go, James, what gives? Like, what's the deal? What are you hitting me up for? And I say, look, sorry, it's probably kind of a weird call, but the reason I'm asking is because if they're planning on coming back to market with you, I'm not going to do anything. But what I was going to say is, I know you probably have time and money tied up into the listing that you did and the marketing you did for it. And if they're not going to be listing with you, I was hoping that maybe I could pick your brain for a few minutes and maybe you could open the door up, give me kind of the inside track, if you will. And in the event that I get the listing, I'll hook you up with a referral fee in the amount of whatever. And the reason that works out really well is because you wind up in a position where people kind of become a little apprehensive on the front end, but it's amazing how quickly the agents will break it down. And the initial thought on that might be, well, gosh, James, why the hell would they open the door up? Why would the seller take their call? Why would they do that to kind of give me the kind of that inside track? And the answer to that question is, you're not asking the agent to make the phone call. You're asking the agent for all the things that went right and wrong, to give you the good things and the bad things, why it didn't sell, what they loved, what they hated, are they still thinking of selling, what are the buttons that they're pushing, did they talk about price drops but they're never going to work with you, is there any subject matter we should stay away from, like what are their hot buttons, right? And so those types of things, and that's exactly what you would call the other agent about. So yes, Danielle, it's a fantastic strategy. It's worked very, very well for me, and I highly recommend it. So I think that's going to wrap it. We're going to kind of keep these sessions nice and tight here. I really appreciate you hopping on here. If you're watching on Facebook, you're already in the group. If you're watching on YouTube or on Instagram, please feel free to pop over and join the Real Estate Raw Facebook group. Would love to have you. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's Reraw, R-E-R-A-W, the Reraw channel. And you can also text me at any time with future questions, or maybe you just want to check in and say what's up, or you want to schedule a coaching consultation. We can do that kind of stuff. Maybe you want to ask some questions about Lead Drops Pro before you join the program, whatever it may be. You can text me at any time at 949-216-5448. Remember something, real agents work. Make sure that you are one of them.